Let's make Dr. Stein look great. Not gonna be hard. Whenever you like it, Sam.
Yeah, I'm just coming out of jail, so I don't know what my hair is doing.
This will be a very easy first question because I don't have to ask you to spell your first and last name or tell me what your title is because we know all that stuff. Looking good, Sam? Okay, take a breather. How long, well, I'm going to ask this as well. Let's start with this.
Yeah.
Dr. Stein, when you're coming out, how long were you in there for? What was it like when you were in the St. Louis County Jail?
It was kind of scary, to tell you the truth, because I got separated from the rest of the crowd, and it initially felt like there was a lot of safety in numbers, but then it turned out that I was being charged with assault after being assaulted by a bicycle and basically thrown onto my head backwards. I was charged with assaulting a police officer. Can you believe it? And so I got separated out, and I was alone going through this whole other process where I was going through a medical exam. I had, regular steel handcuffs put on and sat a long time sitting alone in a cell. And I had no idea, did anybody even know I was there? I had been separated from my team. And, was I going to be there all night? Was I going to be there for a week? What's going on and when could I call my lawyer? So I was just completely led through this process, completely blind. And I'm really glad that, we got out. What time were we brought in? When did we get arrested? My guess is around 7:30, something like that, and finally got out at around 1:30 or 1:45, something like that.
So quite a long time. Obviously you were not here to have all of this happen. You were here, as I'm assuming, to campaign, talk to people in St. Louis.
And to get on the ballot so that voters could have a choice, so that the American public opposes the genocide, wants an immediate ceasefire and a diplomatic solution. So we want to get that on the ballot. We want a pro-worker campaign to be on the ballot. We want an anti-war campaign and a climate emergency campaign. We are the only campaign that actually represents all of those issues. So we have a lot to fight for to enable the American people to have a choice, and the American people are clamoring for a choice. They don't want these two zombie candidates rammed down their throat again, and by huge majorities, Americans want other choices. So we want to provide that choice. We have to jump through all kinds of hoops for Americans to be able to exercise, basic democracy in the voting booth. We have to collect, I don't know what it is, something like 10,000 signatures total in Missouri in order to get on the ballot. So if people want to be sure that you have an actual choice on the ballot, you can contact either our campaign, JillStein2024.com, or get in touch with the Missouri Green Party to help with that drive.
Dr. Stein, this is not the only protest going on. Some of them have gotten significantly worse, more arrests, suspensions, but then of course some of them have been peaceful at other universities where there isn't police involvement. Speak to what this is like here at St. Louis, where you have a situation like this, where there have been more than 80 arrests, yourself included. How does this fit into the larger picture nationwide?
It's pretty bad. I think it's a really bad look for the university that they are out there. Basically, they've called out the police and they are arresting this encampment that is nothing other than the exercise of our constitutional rights. This is about freedom of speech, and not just any old freedom of speech, but freedom of speech on a very critical issue that needs debate and dialogue. And there they are, sending in the riot police and basically creating a riot in an otherwise peaceful demonstration. So this is just shameful. We tried to dialogue with the administrators who were there and encourage them to think big picture here and to allow students to do what they were doing peacefully. And, it might have helped delay action, but actually when we were asked by the students to join their defense. And to tell you the truth, I felt it would be unconscionable not to do that, because our future really is in their hands. It has always been the role of young people to stand up and really lead the way forward in the civil rights movement, in the environmental justice movement, and so on. And that's what young people are doing right now, and for us not to support them when they are putting everything on the line, their lives, their careers, their graduation, it's just heart-wrenching, what young people are going through. So we wanted to be there to support them, and we joined the line, and it just felt like it was the right thing we had to do.
And I want to know how these charges impact your campaign moving forward. Does that make any issues, any hurdles for you? Is that something that you're going to lean on and say, hey, I was at a protest, I got arrested, and this is what I'm still fighting for on the ballot? How does this change anything?
I don't think it really changes things except to show that we are not hypocrites, and that we are really putting our money where our mouth is, that is behind students and young people and really supporting their moral authority to lead us forward on this issue. Because it's young people, who are going to bear the consequences of this. We basically have an expanding war right now, and Netanyahu has been given a license essentially to be the commander-in-chief because he's been assured that he will be backed. The U.S. is continuing to shower him with basically a blank check and unlimited amounts of money, and he's trying to embroil us in a war with Iran. This is absolutely outrageous. It is a betrayal of the responsibility of the president to be passing the baton to Bibi Netanyahu, who is not accountable in any way to American voters, and he's making critical life and death decisions for even American troops by the tens of thousands who are, in the Middle East right now, who are being made vulnerable by all of this. So, it just felt like we have to stand up and call this out, and that's what our campaign will continue to do. We are doing this election to ensure that the American people have a choice in the voting booth, that we're not just going to be presented with actually 3 pro-war, pro-genocide candidates between Donald Trump, Joe Biden, and RFK, who pretends to be a peace candidate, but who is all for basically the abuses of the Israeli government and makes no bones about it. And in fact, he is probably the most aggressive Zionist among the group. Yet he is petitioning actually outside of the pro-Palestinian encampments, representing his petitioners are representing his campaign as though it was a campaign for Palestinian rights. By no means, it's exactly the opposite. So, we're here to hold their feet to the fire and to give the American people what they are clamoring for, which is a real choice with political integrity that will stand up for the peaceful future that we deserve.
Probably my last question for you, Dr. Stein.
Sure.
How does this change your perspective of St. Louis? How much longer are you going to be in the city? Obviously, it's been a very long day. We're now into Sunday since it's almost 2 o'clock.
Yes.
How does this change your perception of St. Louis? And of course, how much longer do we get to host you for?
I think the overwhelming impression is that the students here are just inspirational. They have so much integrity. They really are, exemplary citizens who are raising the bar for what we must do, because what happens in Gaza doesn't stay in Gaza. Are we going to normalize the murder and torture of children on an industrial scale? Are we going to dismantle international law and human rights? That's the stakes, and leave it to the students here in this university to hold a really peaceful, exemplary rally where there's education going on and wonderful inspired speakers. So it was a really uplifting experience, and I think our universities are being challenged now fundamentally. Who are they for? Are they for war contractors and a future that will destroy all of us and impoverish us? Or are they going to uphold principles of democracy that our colleges and universities are supposed to represent? And I think the students are doing a heroic and courageous job of posing these issues and this challenge to our universities and really to our whole society.
Perfect. Probably all my questions. Sam, will you just take a 2-shot on my phone and also on the camera? Oh, did you? Then we're done. Okay.